This is a production of the AJ Podcast Network.
Pushing and pulling, I want you, but you wanna leave. I hate you, I love you, you love me, yeah, you gotta be. If I'm your cage, leave. But if you stay with me, eventually we'll find happy.
Here we go again with another episode of the Passage Home Podcast starring the Dr. Stanley Russian, and I'm your co-host, Bax a Billion. Now go ahead and please visit our website at www.linktree.com/Passage Home Podcast. There you'll find all our links to our show. And don't forget to ask Alexa, play the Passage Home Podcast for you on iHeartRadio. And don't forget about my other podcast where me and my boy AJ talk about things that we all can relate to, along with our newest co-host, Anne Marie. It's going to be www.linktree.com, AJ and Bax. Again, www.linktree.com/AJ and Bax. And don't forget to ask Alexa to play the I Can Relate to That podcast for you as well. If you need to reach us, go ahead and get in contact with us at passagehome@gmail.com. If you're interested in sponsorship, just go ahead and drop us a line at passagehomepodcast@gmail.com. Now, without further ado, Dr. Stanley Russian, how you doing today, sir?
Amazing. By the grace of God, everything is amazing.
Yes,
and
sir.
We want to dive right in. I'm humbled by my guests and so thankful that the Most High brings so many spiritually minded, Afrocentric African Americans and Africans our way to share with those out there who don't really have the vantage point of seeing what we can do to thrive in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And so without further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Jamille Harrell-Sims, PhD.
Okay.
Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you, Grand Rising. It is such an honor, and it was such an honor to be able to meet you. Praises to the Most High.
Yeah. Give thanks. I want to get into your bio, and we can get into the show with what you can share with us.
Let me give you a short version. Okay, so I am a professor, researcher. I am a clinical herbalist in training. Business owner. I have a nonprofit, Kagler Interventions Incorporated, where we are really trying to help our people be self-sufficient, learn the truth about our history, our story. And I have 2 YouTube channels, Organic City Homesteaders, where we talk about how to grow food, farming in our backyard. And then I have Kagler Presents, where we have episodes that talk about things in our community. So I do a lot of work. I'm also known for lectures in African American family studies. That's my doctorate. And dealing with issues of race, which I'm doing currently. And I'm just, just realizing what time it is and what we need to do and, open our minds because we must wake up.
Yes, ma'am. So my next question to you is, when you first went to Africa and you arrived there on the continent, knowing you personally, meeting you, I know you are a very sensitive, spiritual person. What did you feel when you first stepped onto the continent, and what country were you in?
I had the pleasure of, I'm a Fulbright scholar, and so I was chosen to spend quite a bit of time in Tanzania. The true name is Tanganyika. And so it was like a 20-something hour flight. I flew from California to Atlanta to Amsterdam to Kilimanjaro, and from there to Dar es Salaam. It did not, it was very surreal, but we arrived there at night. We got to our dorms for University of Dar es Salaam is where we were going to be teaching. And we arrived at our dorms, and that night it was just, when I first got off the plane, I just couldn't believe. I had no way to describe my feelings. And then it didn't really hit me where I was until that morning. That's when it hit me. I think I cried that night because I could not believe that I finally made it. I had been wanting to go to Africa for years. And
you're giving me chills.
That morning, my very, very good friend, I was with like 3 doctors and some masters and undergrad students, about 17 of us. And what woke me up that morning, the first thing I heard was the call to prayer, the Adhan. And about 20, 30 minutes later, I heard the Catholic church bells. Then I heard the animals. And when I woke up, I cried. I remember crying. I think my partner was crying because we couldn't believe we were there. It's like, I'm really here. I'm home. And we got up, they fixed us, right? I mean, it was just a completely different, the breakfast was different. I mean, they pulled our food up out of the ground and made our food. We had a designated cook. We had people to, whatever we needed, we had people designated to take care of that.
Wow.
And we were in a compound. And so when we walked outside the compound, the first thing, they were selling fruits and vegetables. And the first thing is you have to eat an orange. That's the first thing you do when you get here. And so I ate this orange, and it was not like the oranges we know. It was the sweetest. It had a different color to it, a different texture. I was taken aback because, we have this stereotype that when you get to Africa, there's a bunch of huts and everybody's in African clothes, and you just have this stereotype. Well, nobody had on African clothing. Everybody was dressed like us.
Wow.
Wow.
And I saw people that looked like, somebody I grew up with, my uncle. Right. They look just like us.
See, and they do that. They try to make us not want to go there. See, they don't want us to create that connection with our people back home. So they try to present it as a place where we won't want to go. Yeah, they're lying to us, but see, we're waking them up with this podcast, though.
They have no idea. I mean, the experience, I'm about to cry because nobody understands, unless you were there, you don't understand the experience, the spiritual experience that you have. And that's just the first day.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
I mean, people go, they say, well, I'm going to go to the continent for a week or two. 6 months, 3 months, 6 weeks. You really, really understand what it is to be home. 2 weeks, you don't really understand it. You have a piece of it. But the longer you stay, the more you understand and the more truth you get exposed to.
Right. And you feel welcome every place you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, I remember the first time we were walking, everybody split up, you have your groups, and we're walking and we're looking around and there's a it's like a bus. It's called the Dala Dala. And I don't know how they knew. It must be the way we walked, what we had on, or I don't know how they knew. But a bus came by and the people were screaming, "Daughters of Obama! Welcome home!" And people were saying that the stolen ones have returned.
Wow.
And it was just amazing. It's like, you all look just like us. How do you know? But they know. But they tell you, welcome home. They're sweet people. I mean, I think the healthiest I have ever been in my life was when I was home, because there's no pesticides, there's no steroids. I mean, every morning, our morning was like, we get up about 6 a.m., we hear the rooster crow, and we get dressed and we hike for 2 miles. And we're hiking through, and people, the women are, you see all this farming, and they're out there and they're pulling up the greens and they're pulling up the turnips and they're pulling up their food for the day. And we're walking through there and we're seeing, and they're waving and we're waving and we're passing, the chickens and everything. And you leave your compound and the chickens are there. And so we take those 2 hour hike, and then we come back, we take a shower, and then our food is created. The eggs here have a yellow yolk. The eggs there's no yellow. Yeah, it's not yellow. Right. It's the bread is thick, it's white. They have a vegetable, they have kuku, which is chicken. They have I forgot what they call potatoes, and they have samosas, and you eat your food, and the first thing I thought was, this is chicken. I mean, it's really small. It's not big. Like,
because it ain't blown up.
No, yeah. I'm like, this is a chicken breast?
What?
No steroids.
None of that. Wow. And you eat, and then after you eat, you get on the bus and you go to the campus or wherever they're taking you. And, we're used to seeing cats and some squirrels, where the monkeys are in the trees, and they're not afraid of you. And I had some chips, me and my buddy, and we're sitting there talking, and I didn't pay attention to the chips, and the monkeys have found a way to use their tails to steal my chips. Wow. Everybody is so laid back and so cool, and they're just, you don't see any stress, and you don't see any violence.
Wow.
No violence. None.
Wow. That's beautiful. Did you bring us back some of those orange seeds so we could grow some here?
It's funny because this country won't let you bring certain things back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're saying you can't go to Africa and bring back none of that life that they got over there. That's basically what they say.
Yeah, they also said that we couldn't bring back the money, but some of us snuck the money back to keep as a souvenir.
Right.
We totally ditched all our American clothes. We made it rain. We bought everything they could make because we wanted to make sure that they knew that we loved them, and that we were going to deposit money into their lives and make their lives easier. So we spent, the American dollar goes so far. We probably dropped the equivalent of $5,000 on them just out of love. Wow. because our money here is probably in Tanzania is like 5 times. Wow. And we just, we gave tips.
You made it rain.
We made it rain. Yes. Yes.
It's not like one rapper said, he didn't make it rain, he brought a hurricane. No, he said, no, when I go in the club, it's a category 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
How much do you have to spend over there? Like, far as financially, you said 5,000, and in America, 5,000 is really not a lot of money. But like, just over there,
the cost. You asked them about the cost of living.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let me explain the equivalent of $5,000.
Okay.
I went over there. We knew we were going to be there 6 weeks to 3 months, 6 months. We didn't know. I brought $350 American dollars. When I left, I still had $100 left.
Wow.
So our money, now if we had euros, it'd be worth even more. But the living there is people, generally they live off $100 a month. That takes care of everything, $100 a month. $100 is what we pay to fill our gas tank.
Right.
So, our capacity, to them, we were very wealthy. But none of us were. It's just, it was a chance of a lifetime, and you want to make sure that you bring enough, because you may not get the opportunity to go back, and you want to get as much as you can. Our food, our lodging, everything was paid for. So that was pocket change. And I will admit that I was able to wire more money, because we all wanted to bless, Dar es Salaam and Arusha. We went to Pemba. We went to Zanzibar. We spent time in Zanzibar. That was really out of this world. That is a Muslim nation state. It is. It was very, very interesting, and we learned the true history that we were never taught in this country about slavery, and that in itself was an experience that some of us could not sleep in the slave castle at all. Refused to do so.
Question.
Yes.
What was your feeling when you went into that slave castle? What did you pick up any vibration from ancestors and the horrors that went on in there?
We saw several. So the first slave castle we went to, we were in Bagamoyo. And the history of Bagamoyo is the Arabs came first to enslave.
Right.
And the British and the Portuguese came after. And the caves of Bagamoyo, the thing about Bagamoyo is, even after the British outlawed slavery, the Arabs were still kidnapping the indigenous, the Aboriginal people of Tanzania, and keeping them in the caves of Bagamoyo till the Portuguese ships came, and then they put them on the ships and sent them to Brazil. That's why Brazil has the largest amount of diasporic Africans outside of the continent. They're the second largest. And so before we went into the caves, went into the slave castle, we went into the caves. And it was a feeling of terror. It was a feeling of, I didn't want to go in there, but I felt like I had to go in there. I had to know. Some of us will refuse, and I said, I have to know. I'm intuitive, so I had to know and feel what they felt in order to fully take advantage of the opportunity that I had. And if they want to speak to me. And it was, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And I could feel wailing and crying. And when you see these how they had them in there, and you see these little caves, you can't even stand up in these caves. And yet they kept them in there for months. We went to the slave castles, and just being in the slave castles and the dungeons, and I had great anger. The Germans came, and I had great anger. And then there was a post here, and this is what they did. The Arabs, the Germans came, and so the Arabs told our brothers and sisters, if you help us fight the Germans, we will free you. So our brothers and sisters, they whooped some tail. And after they whooped their tail, then the Arabs, they didn't keep their promise. And the most fierce warriors, they had a post, an area, they hung them all. And So you're learning this information, and some of us cried.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It just, when you find, and then you talk to the locals, you talk to the elders who tell you that they keep the oral tradition because the Arabs are the ones that generally have the power there, and they don't put that in the history books. They say the fear is that the youth will find the truth and they will rise up and take the rightful place. But when we went, Julius Nyerere was I believe was the president at that time. And while we're learning all this information, we had the opportunity to see the other side. There was a castle called St. Mark's, and 4 of us stayed in the castle, which had a dungeon under it. We stayed there. Others did refuse to stay there. We stayed there because we wanted.
When you say stayed, you spent the night?
We stayed there for 4 days in that castle.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
We stayed there 4 days. Nobody, out of 17, everybody else said they refused to stay. But we chose to stay because we felt if the ancestors can't tell you what they want to tell you if you don't stay.
Right. There you go.
So we stayed, and I would kind of say being downloaded with the
spirit.
That's
how the spiritual when you get that download. A lesson. It's like everything in a download package right into your spirit, and explains everything. When you have to unfold it and everything, but I know exactly what you're talking about. So what kind of download did you get?
The pain, the agony. Don't forget them. Don't forget them. A lot of children. A lot of atrocities, a lot of rape, a lot of torture. Don't forget them. It was like, it felt like you finally made it here. We need you to take over. We need you to do something.
Right.
It felt like they were waiting for us to come home. And that was East Africa. They're waiting for us to come home.
Right.
And take over. And some of them told us, please take over. Please bring business here. Please help us. You know, they tell you that that Africans don't like us, but that's not my experience. They love us. They were all over us. I've never met such beautiful, kind, loving people ever in my life.
Yeah, I spoke to a brother who you know, and he said he had an experience in Ghana airport where he was getting his luggage, and a little boy tugged on his coat, and he turned around, and the little boy said, "We've been waiting for you, to come home." And so he turned around to get his luggage. He turned back around, and the little boy disappeared. And so hearing that from you, because that's his spirit. That when I asked him spiritually what he felt when he went to Ghana, he specified that was so powerful just hearing it from him. And when he turned around, he had disappeared and stuff. And then the other people on our podcast spoke about spirit speaking to them there in Ghana and places saying, "Welcome home," and everybody alive was saying the same thing. Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Oh man, I'm going to understand. I gotta go, y'all. I gotta go.
You really have to go, because after a while, I had been gone from the States a long time, and so the news that you hear there is totally different than what you hear here. Here is it's the media, the most evil demon in America. It programs you to believe the opposite of what is true.
That's a fact.
And I started to become homesick. And the reason why I became homesick is because my daughter had gone off to college and I wasn't there to see her off to college. And so I started getting homesick, and I was a little teary-eyed. And so the brother said, "Sista, what's wrong?" I said, "I need to go home." He said, but sister, you are home.
Mm.
And then I just really started crying. And I was bawling at that time. And then he said, you get your family and you come back. This is your home.
Wow.
And I felt guilty for even wanting to come back. But I had my kids and, so I was trying to figure a way, how can I get them to come back? And they want us to set up businesses because they know that we'll treat them better. And while I was there, I know Geronimo Pratt was in Tanzania. I know that Mama Charlotte and Brother Pete O'Neill, they're in Arusha. We were also in Arusha. And, there are some expats in Tanzania. And I'm connected with a few now that are there. And I know when they talk about what it's like to live there, I know because I was there for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. Well, you leading us into our last question. What did you see that the average unaware African American don't know about how he can live and thrive over there in Africa?
First of all, understand that your money here goes a very long ways. And people in Africa, they are not running around like we've been taught doing nothing. They are business people. There are businesses everywhere. Everyone is selling something. There's nobody's begging for anything. They all are selling something. They're very prideful people. An American can go over there. You can start a business. You can have a nice home. They have very nice homes there and hotels. They have malls. They have the things we have. It's just different. Even the Maasai are selling the jewelry. People are selling fabric and clothing. They have tailors. There's things that you can do. If you think you can go to the motherland and what am I going to do? How am I going to make it? You'll make it the same way you make it here. Understand, you will live a whole lot better there. And you don't have to deal with this racism. Right. Because everybody looks the same. It's like, and I don't mean that you can't tell one from the other. I mean, we're all, if you want to use the colors in the crayon box, we're all Black. All African. We may come from Britain. They ask you, are you British? Or are you Americani? They say Black Americani because people think Americans are all white. They're not. You can go over there. You can open restaurants. You can set up businesses. You can open a school. They need schools. The schools need you. They need computers. You could set up a school. You could set up a program. There's so much that you can do. Listen, I saw the Peace Corps over there. They looked at us like, what were we doing there? We're at home. Why are you here?
All right. Yes.
So there's a lot that you can do. This good living. You'll eat good food. You grow your own food. The refrigeration is not like they don't have refrigeration. It's fresh. It's fresh. Marriage is a big thing there. Family is number one. The number one law in Tanzania, and I'm sure it's all over the continent, is respect for life. They get in an argument. Here, you get in an argument, you got to dodge bullets. There, I saw the worst argument I ever saw in my life. The two bowed and parted ways. It tripped us out. So they respect life. It's not what you think. Yes, there's corruption. It's corruption everywhere, but it's the heart of the people. These are your people.
Right. Yeah. Give thanks. Give thanks.
Give thanks.
Brax, you have any closing question? We're about to hit the music, right?
So for one, this is like really overwhelming, but I'm learning though, because I'm trying to make that transition over there to go over there and meet with my people. So I'm definitely grateful for this conversation. Yes, that Dr. Stanley, you always bring the best guests, and it's just the connection is awesome. Me and Dr. Stanley were just talking yesterday about getting me and a couple of my friends over to Africa, and just listening to you, like I don't know if I want to go to Tanzania or I don't know if I want to Gambia or what, but I'm definitely gonna get over there and try some of those oranges though. For real. Some of that fruit. I love that.
Everything.
Like that's how I like to live. That's how I like to consume things, put life into my body, because I've been through so much. You know, I've been shot before, and I got shot in my stomach, which is your second brain. So I'm trying to rejuvenate my body and my being. So I know that, you know, the foods that we eat here are contaminated. Even when we are eating the best foods that they have here, it's still contaminated. So just going over there and just being able to eat and put some life into my body, I know that'd be a beautiful thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, Doctor, do they call you Dr. J?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what they call me.
Dr. J, we, as I said in the beginning, I was humble, and you proved the reason why I was humble. You know, you gave me everything that I wanted to portray to the audience. I want to thank you, and I really appreciate you, and I am blessed to meet you, and we will be doing a lot of work in the future. All I can say is that I'm grateful and humble with your presence here.
Likewise.
Yes, definitely.
That's the most high connection. I've been talking about it ever since.
Yes. And so I want to say back, you got to close out for the show.
All right. Well, listen, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, with another great episode of the Passage Home podcast. We have Dr. J. Harrell on the show, starring Dr. Stanley Russian. Dr. Stanley Russian always bring the best guests. Y'all have a great day, great evening, great life, and peace be unto you.
Hotep.
Hotep. Ashe.
Ashe.
Crumbs all on my face. Is it the love or the lust? We got a lot to discuss. We gon' fight or unite. What's stopping the trust? I've been bright all my life. I could see that we rush. Same thing happened to them. It's happened to us. We argue all night. Then you backing it up. That's the story of our life.
This is a production of the AJ Podcast Network.